Alright, that should be live. Sorry, got distracted. Can I hear my voice? Yes. Alright, let's get these headphones off. And I forgot to turn on the light. Told you, distracted. But I don't think it'll be a full stream today, because I don't think it's going to take me an hour to burn all this in. Soldering iron has been heating up for 5 minutes now. Ooh, smoking hot. What are we going to talk about today? Reminded of something before stream, and at least somewhat related to Miss Kirsche. Figure talk about political streams, political content creators. You know, it's something people don't much care for. They say that, and I feel like it's a little misguided. For me, the issue isn't political versus apolitical. The issue is honesty, which I find is the issue with a lot of things. I don't care if you're a political streamer or an apolitical streamer. What I dislike is when you're dishonest. You say you're apolitical, and your content's mostly apolitical, and then you throw in a piece of politics randomly. Especially if you're like, no politics in chat, or no politics in the comments. Greatly dislike that. I would rather you just say, hey, I'm gonna bring up politics every once in a while. And deal with the consequences therein. What about people who switch? Because I remember having this conversation with a friend of mine a long time ago. I used to quite enjoy Miss Hannah Hart. Now, I don't know if she's still active or she's moved on to something else, but when I was watching her, she did a series called My Drunk Kitchen, where she'd get drunk and cook something. It was very funny. But then she got more popular, then she got more political. Not inherently, she wasn't like, alright, we'll get drunk and cook here in a minute, but I gotta give you a 30-minute dissertation on why this policy is good or bad. She would just did make some directly political stuff. to her and her brand. And as that kind of content increased, my interest in her channel diminished. And kind of a revelation about, yeah, I cannot like the fact that went to just a girl being silly in her kitchen, making a cooking video while drunk and doing stupid puns, having to making offhand jokes and direct videos related to political things. Mad about it, and then I realized, well, from her perspective, what I'm saying is essentially, a young person, do not use all this influence and attention you get to actively make the world a better place. Just keep being a goofy clown. That's not a very healthy mindset to have, I suppose. I still think about it. Is it kind of a cheat? Gain acclaim doing one thing and switch up to doing something else? I mean, obviously no, it's her channel, she can do what she wants with it. I'm under no obligation to continue to consume that content. I'll try to... Hold on. It's hot in here, I'm gonna start sweating on my piece. It does feel a bit like a trail, doesn't it? And when it comes to Miss Kirsche, at least from my perspective, I suppose. Oh, the music too loud? Hold on. Thank you. Appreciate that. I can't hear my own stream. Not because I dislike the sound of my voice. I do, but that's not why. Problem is I get distracted and I keep waiting for myself to stop talking so I can start talking. You're talking? What the hell was I talking about? Oh yeah. From my perspective, Miss Kirsche has always been politically focused streamer. I always respected that a lot more. So yep, you're probably not going to like me, or you might not like me. But I'm doing what I'm doing. Might be watch a lot of comedy, and a lot of the comics I like are not very politically correct. Why am I being cagey? Watch a lot of Legion of Skanks. Which, if you're not familiar, are a bunch of New York it's a podcast by a bunch of New York comics. And they really like doing edgy stuff on there. Or they did. They still claim to, but they're getting the old man disease too. They explain once they label themselves the most offensive podcast because even if they aren't, you get offended, it's kind of your fault. They told you what they were going to do before you showed up. Actually, that makes me think of what the hell is that called? Trash Taste. Those guys. A bit of an issue where they had Hassan Piker on. And got a lot of backlash. And I think they responded pretty well to it. Their explanation I thought was kind of interesting. Hassan is a person who's inherently political. His content's all political. He said, well, we're not doing that on Trash Talk, or on Trash Taste. So, and I thought they were going to have an apolitical stream with a political person, which I do think is kind of interesting. You see somebody who is always in one sphere getting their view on other spheres. It's genuinely interesting. But that means that the place they normally operate is going to bleed over. Because that's the people who know them. It causes an interesting issue. Like, are you rabbit holing yourself on? Kind of peeking on the audio levels from time to time. Probably be a good idea. You inadvertently pigeonhole yourself by stepping into extreme areas. I don't know. Controversial areas, I think is safe to say. Even if you yourself are not a controversial person. I think politics is an inherently controversial area. Stepping into that realm force you to always have at least one foot in it. I'd like to think no. But I'd like to think a lot of things. Excuse me. It doesn't make them any more true. Where's my... Got a little wire brush to kind of clean off the dust from my tip. It's muggy out today. Hope we get some rain soon. We all like to think a lot of things. That's very true. Rofta? I don't know, what do you think? Sir? Ma'am? Whatever? I'm assuming sir? You think once you step into politics, you're kind of always stuck with it? You're going to have that label with you forever? Not always. I suppose that's true. On a long enough timeline, people forget and move on, and some things don't. Oh, but some things don't change, I'm assuming you mean. Unless you did mean some things don't chance. In which case, I don't quite follow your meaning. I wonder if that's an effect, my thought on that you do kind of get labeled with it. Is an effect of the modern world. Because if you set it online, the proof of you saying it exists forever. So even if you do move on from, like we're talking about politics, there's always going to be those clips and those bits of when you were political. And that does inform people, rightly or wrongly. I said on a previous stream, I don't believe in, or I don't think people should shop politically, right? I think the same goes for content creators. Hold on, this is a little loose. If someone is not doing political content, I don't know if you should hold them accountable for their political views. Good, bad, or indifferent. Hadn't really thought about it till just now, but I guess that means that while I do not like Mr. Piker, I guess I really don't have a problem with him showing up on Trash Taste. I mean, I didn't to begin with. I don't really watch the show. I just see clips. Like I said before, it is interesting to have... Did I not carve that? I did not carve that. It is interesting to have somebody who's so well known for his political commentary do something not political. Humanizes them in a way, which is a sad thing to say. When I was a boy, my perception, and who knows, maybe I was wrong, but my perception was always that left, right, we disagreed, we weren't enemies. You took down political opponents during election season, but you acknowledged when they were right, and or even if they were wrong, you acknowledged that it was coming from a good place. Naive, maybe, but the attempt was there. Now I look around and I don't see that kind of attitude anymore. Seems like everybody wants to demonize the people who don't agree with them. And while I love Kirsche, I do think she's also guilty of this. Maybe not to the extent some people do. Or maybe that's just me liking her and giving her, being more charitable with my interpretation of what she says. To be honest, I've not been that political in the last years. I think they all, a bunch of children, would only throw tantrums at each other. You're not wrong. Unfortunately, people learned really good ways to get elected. Very little in the way of actually running a country, or state, or city, or whatever. But again, I wonder if that was... Is that rose-colored glasses? Maybe they were always this bad. We just couldn't see it before. Or at least not as clearly. I mean, I know major news has gotten way worse. People trusted Walter Cronkite. I don't know a whole lot of people who trust the modern news. Definitely was much less, as you said, tantrums before. YouTube got in a weird space where they were showing me a bunch of old Nixon interviews. Nixon? Yeah. And he always, at least in the ones they're showing me, very respectful of his opponents and other political adversaries. And he did chastise them when they made fun of his wife. I think is fair. Now that I think about it, is the rise of new media, news outlets, because of that childishness in modern politicians. If they were the more respectful, well-spoken lot that they used to be, or that they seemed to have used to be. Would Kirsche be a political streamer? Would Hassan be a political streamer? Would there be the fun of it? I guess is what I'm trying to say. That's the truth of the matter. The reason people talk politics so much now is that there is an element of fun to it. Toxic as it is fun. People definitely take it too far, but that I don't know. I know Miss Kirsche would say there's a lot of import to it. Or Hassan would agree with her on that. Maybe there is. I just watched a Chew-On Head video about all the stuff USAID was doing, including the stuff that's not covered by the news. You can definitely say that it's important to be informed about such things. To hold elected officials to account. The non-elected officials they appoint. Sure doesn't seem to be bringing people any happiness, does it? I would argue is the most important aspect of life. Just being happy. People get way too bogged down in this stuff. Seems, regardless of where you affiliate politically, seems like every 20 minutes there's some new thing you need to worry about. Which I blame on the 24-hour news cycle. You don't need a 24-hour news cycle. Well, I suppose with the internet it's kind of impossible not to. Not to have one, I mean. Lord knows the algorithm seems to think you like the news, doesn't it? Click one political video and your whole feed is that for a month. I try to be apolitical a lot of the time too. Not to the point of ignorance, but I don't need to get bogged down in every time Trump sends out a tweet. Or every time the Democrats do a stunt. But every once in a while, they'll get me with one. And then I'm back in it. Ooh, that language was a lot like addiction, wasn't it? That's kind of a scary thought. They're just figuring out how to make us news addicts. How's the music? Is it still? Yeah, it looks good from here. What else has been going on with me? Watching a lot of video essays about free run recently. Fantastic show. Especially because every essay I watch seems to have a different take on it. I feel is a marker of quality for a piece of fiction. I was actually just watching one, and it helped me come up with an idea. I don't know how much I believe in this idea, that I just happened upon it. It was talking about the title, Beyond Journey's End. He was going on about, like, hey, what happens when it's done? What happens when your journey's over? And I started to think, I don't think your journey ever is over. And I don't mean that. There's always the next adventure. There's always something in the future. You have a beginning and the end. A beginning and an end. I have a beginning and the end. And an end. The end. But I don't know if our stories do. Our journeys do. You trace this wood carving right here back hundreds of years to some minor event that happened halfway across the globe. That, in some small way, resulted in me being born and eventually showing up here, carving a coconut into a piece of wood. And after I die, there'll be some aspect of this carving goes on to be part of somebody else's story. And in that way, the journey doesn't end for any of us. Like I said, I don't know how much I believe that or how flawed I think it is. But it's certainly a pleasant thought, isn't it? And no matter how small or insignificant, somewhere we have an effect on everything that comes after us. And everything that came before us has an effect on us. The never-ending story. Of course, there's other ways to interpret our journey doesn't end. Religious contexts and whatnot. Ooh, you know what? I think this actually does better with a lighter burn. Just for those little... I don't know what you call those. The veins, I guess, on the leaf. Yeah. Sorry, just kind of getting lost in my own thoughts there for a minute. Kind of running out of things I wanted to talk about. I definitely think this bullet came out a lot better. I'm not going to burn the actual cherries. I think I'm going to try the same thing I did with the Smugglana. I have some red-ish stain. See how that goes. Is that everything burned in? I think so. Turn that off. Oh no, what do I got down here? So, what do we got? Got that cabaret stain from before. The golden oak I used? Yeah, it must have been. I got this really old golden oak. I'm going to try to make this coconut look kind of like a coconut. Oh, I should sand it first. What do we got? A little 80 grit. Normally when I do stain, I just get a rag. I want to do this a little bit more controlled. I got these really cheap brushes. I also want it thick. Don't think I'll stain the rest of it. Just the cherries and the coconut here. This is, by the way, I know the wrong brush. But it does its job. It's a pretty good coconut color, isn't it? I don't mind if it gets in those holes. Now, if I was a decent artist, I could probably do something cool with shading these. But I am not, so unfortunately, just gonna be flat. Try and get any of the really thick stuff out of there. My experience, this will lighten up a good bit, so it'll probably need a second coat, which I'll do off stream. We ain't gotta sit here and watch fucking paint dry. I know I'm not the most exciting person in the world, but I think I'm at least a step better than that. Get something to mix this. It is kind of more of a purple red, isn't it? Oh, I didn't stand the... No, now I kind of don't want to. Alright, I know a trick for this. Why do I know this trick? I am not a woodworker. Where did I learn the trick to get sawdust, or however you would refer to this? Just a sec. Need a little bit of water. Damp, not wet. Damp rag. Does a pretty good job of picking up dust. Hopefully enough. Use where's my flat? There it is. Try and get these little cowlicks or whatever you call them out over here. That's better. I don't know if the camera caught that. Nope, because my big dumb hand was in the way. If I can look at the difference in the way it absorbs up here versus on the coconut. I don't know if that's because of the prep. If I did a better job with the coconut, or it's because that brown stain is so old. There's literally a layer of film I had to peel off. Is it the same company? It's the same company. All right. Like I said, I'll let that dry. Come back, sand it, do another coat of stain if I need to. And then I'll probably throw the shellac on it. Do I have enough lacquer? No. Yeah. Coat it in shellac and I'll post it sometime this weekend. But I think that's going to do it for today. Thanks for stopping by. Lovely to see you. But I'm tired. Get out of here.